folks. You're watching Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales here with my FM voice in Southern California. That guy out there is
Matt Metris on AM radio Tequila Aficionado.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. You know, we used to go, remember those commercials, you know, where they were like racing commercials? Like you'd go to a stock car race or something, or Indy, you know, they'd be yelling and screaming. We used to call those guys pukers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because that's what it sounds like, right? For those of you who are old radio buffs, like myself, I used to work in a smooth jazz station in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Some of the best jobs I ever had was radio. I loved it and had a great time. But folks, I digress. Here we are. We are going to be tasting and dissecting Bruxo number 10, or X.
Or X.
For those of you who are Marvel comics, this is an X Factor. Okay, I'm not even sure why they call it X. If it had two more X's after that, we'd be in trouble. Okay?
I'm assuming it's cell phone math. We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Sort of what Android phones do, the Samsung phones. Mine went from 9, 10, 20. So just so we can have higher. So that's my logic, and it's completely unverified, but I'm sticking with it. So.
You know what? He's sticking to it. I'm good with it. Whether it's a Marvel comic or a Verizon, a Verizon cell number, who knows? But beautiful bubbles. Every one of these that we've done has been stellar. They're all coming in at 46 ABV.
This one's 40.
40. Wow. So this is different. This is going to be a different one.
Mm-hmm.
The previous version, this one's Espadin Barril. Mm-hmm. And the previous one that we did was a Pechuga at 46, Espadin Barril, Pechuga de Maguey. And we'll explain that when we get to that tasting, okay? Because I was a bit confused originally. But anyway, so, and this is another maker, correct? It's not the same?
Nope, not the same one.
Okay. This is one of my cousins, probably. I don't know. The gentleman making this, let me just read that from the label. Receta original, Maestro Juan Morales. Really, no relation, folks. Never met Juan. He's never met me. He probably could care less. But anyway, now this I would consider a gateway for us, right? 80 proof. What do we know about the distillery? Anything we need to know that's special? I mean, so far every one of these, as the higher up we go with the numbers, the smaller and smaller batches were coming out of those palenques, those distilleries. So what is this the same, or is that?
No, this is actually bigger, and I just noticed a little asterisk here on some of the website. This is the son of Bruxo number 1, Lucio Morales.
Ah.
So that's what's going on here. So this is a 4,000 liter per month production. This is quite large compared to the last number 5 was only 200 liters per month. So
yeah, wow. Okay, well, I'm gonna pour some in a Stasso Jarrito that I normally use for tequila. I'm just gonna switch it up a little bit.
You too.
The fact that I've got to pull out the rest of my Stassos that I've got, in a box down here in my office. But this is, again, the funny thing is with this Stasso, this Jarrito, we normally use this for tequila because most tequilas come in at 80 proof. So this might be ideal.
Yeah, that was serendipitous.
Yeah.
It was definitely not planned, but it worked out.
Yes, it was. That's what we wanted to do.
Can't silence the truth, Mike.
Because we're all about truth here at Tequila Aficionado. You know why? Because nobody pays us. So that's okay. That's all right. You know what? Rather we tell the truth than pay for play. And that's not who we are. We've never been like that. So now I can say right here, looks just like an Espadin, nice string of pearls. Just visually, each one of these has been visually beautiful. And when we get to the Pechuga, you'll understand why it's a little bit different. But, oh, nice streaming.
Mhm.
It's thicker. I'm really surprised. It looks like it's got some. Does it tell us how old the plants are that they were harvesting?
6 to 7 years on the Espadin and 10 to 12 on the Barril, but it does not give us the ratio.
Okay. Yeah, some of the other ones were giving us ratios, which is really cool when they're available. I
Mhm.
mean, and I would venture to say that when you're talking to a maestro mezcalero, a lot of it's just done force a habit. This is how
Mhm.
I've always done it. Uh, 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 even when they tell you, you folks have probably seen when they pour the pearls when they take uh, I guess it's like a bamboo straw and they pour it into a jicara, and they show you the bubbles. They can tell you within a degree or so what the ABV is. So no instrumentation, okay, folks. It's not like tequila where they're using instruments and they know when to cut the heads and the tails. This is all done by. It's being taught. It's all done father to son, and just by rote, you know.
Mhm.
And so sometimes I would say that even the ones that are giving us the percentages, it's más o menos,
Mhm.
it's más o
Close.
menos.
Close.
Yeah, it looks like 50%. So probably not less than 50. Usually it's a little higher, but 50% is what
Yeah.
that's what that looks like. That's what that pile of maguey looks like. It's about 50%. It's like, okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. We're not weighing this stuff out on a scale first.
Yeah, no, because that's too, that's too modernized. Now I like the nose on this one. I
Mhm.
It's deeper than some Espadins, and it's almost as if I'm getting more of. It's not bright like an Espadin is.
No.
Usually.
A little more heat to it in the aroma. We'll see how that translates when we taste it, but not really smoke per se, but it's just you can smell that there's some warmth to it.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the Tobola. It was heavy. There was depth in
Mhm.
it, and of course it was a different plant. And then the one previously to that, the number four, I think, yeah, number four there was some brightness there that it was unexpected for me because it was the number four I think was an ensemble, I believe, and it was brighter than I had anticipated on the
Mhm.
nose.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one I can smell. I definitely smell the espadin,
Mhm.
but at some points I'm getting more of the other plant that's in there.
Yeah, it's a nice combination. It's not the stereotypical Espadin only aroma that we're sort of used to. In a lot of mezcal. I mean, of the vast majority of mezcals on the market are going to be Espadin only, just because of it's easier to cultivate and produce and acquire. So it's really a treat when we get to try these blends, or like the Tobola that we had before, or we've had some other cool stuff this year too. I forget which plants we have. Hobbley was one, and that was amazing
Yeah,
too.
that was
Uh,
amazing.
yeah, so I'm
And
ready to dive in.
the Hobbley was at a higher ABV too, so that
Yeah.
was not only was it a different plant, but it was muy rustico. Yeah, let's dive in. Let's taste this. Mm, mm, wow. Mm. The barril, and several of these numbers have the barril in them. Just lovely. That barril has a very distinctive flavor to it. Wow, that's got some hot pepperiness at
Sure.
on the back end, huh?
Well, yeah,
Wow.
that sneaks up on you. It doesn't start like that.
No,
Starts
it's like
very plant forward. It's a little thinner on moving it around. I picked up a little bit of citrus in there, but that spiciness, that chili pepper sneaks up on you at the end, and then you're like, oh, where did that come from?
yeah. It was like all of a sudden it just interrupted my train of thought because it's like and it's at the back of the palate down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like oh hello.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a good salsa. I tell this story. I had a boss that I used to work for, and he used to make his own salsa with habanero. It was like a pico de gallo. It wasn't even a salsa. So it was like a pico de gallo. You know, when you deal with peppers and you deal with habaneros, especially if you don't know your percentages, you know, and your recipe's not perfected, you can mess it up. You can overload yourself with hot pepper right away. But we used to call his stuff. His name was Pete. We used to call his pico de gallo Sneaky Pete's, because you'd go back with another one, and then that heat would just increase and just build on itself, and then you'd have to pull away. You'd have to actually walk away from it and let it tone itself down and drink some water or whatever, and then go back to it because it was that good. And this is what this does. It just kind of sneaks up on you, and I didn't know it was going to be there. There was no indication, because you know you could sometimes, if it's pepper infused, you'll smell the pepper. I mean, you sometimes can smell that there's something in there that's uncommon. Whether it's infused or years and years and years ago, the tequila that changed my life was Zafarrancho tequila, and it came out of the same small distillery that the original Cabo Wabo, one of the original Cabo Wabos, came out of. And there was, my palate wasn't as educated as it is now, but I remember having it and sipping on it. It was like, how did they get the chili pepper in there? You know, because it was really peppery, you know, but chili pepper hot, and that's what this one does. It's just, and it's way at the back of the palate too.
I get a little residual bitterness, like a dark chocolate, you know, bitterness in a good way, not in a terrible way, but like that kind of dryness you would associate with a dark chocolate, the direct opposite of sweet, just kind of lingering on my tongue. It's very pleasant.
This is, by the way, every one of these virtually smoke free.
Yeah, that's true.
The smoke, whatever they're using to smoke it or heat it up or whatever, and it tells you on the website where they're using the wood and where it's coming from, or if they're using the pine vats, whatever.
Yeah, and all 6 of these are made in underground ovens, which we typically associate more with smoke. When we see a mezcal that's completely lacking smoke, we usually think autoclave or brick oven or something like that. But using this traditional method, it's surprising that it's so light on the smoke.
And the smoke, it's not even going to be off-putting. What the smoke does, the purpose of the smoke, if there's any left in the lingering, is that it helps coat the palate with the flavor it almost presents the flavor consistently on the palate of the plant itself. So its only purpose is to give you that lingering flavor of the plant. You know, the plant itself is old anyway. It's fibrous. It's going to have, I think each one of these is fermented with fiber, with its own fiber, and so that's going to add that extra layer of flavor. And then you add the smoke on top of that, and all it does is present more of the flavor. That's it. You don't even know it's there. In fact, if you don't know what you're looking for, blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like all the others, this is Tahona wheel crushed, double distilled in copper, fermented in cypress and pine. So there must be some sort of blending going on there, or maybe they're sort of hybrid vats. But also, it's the same agave from number 1 that they're getting from their own property.
The barril, I think, will still be at wild harvested, however, right?
Yeah, it doesn't specifically say on here. And if I remember correctly, it doesn't say on this one, but the horse is named El Diablo that pulls the Tahona wheel. So
that explains the spiciness at the tail end.
Exactly. That's directly from Diablo.
Yeah, he thanks you. We thank you. What do we know as a price point? I love that nose. It's deep and plant-like, and
you're gonna be surprised. $39.99 on this.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow! Holy cats! We're gonna need a bigger truck, man.
Yeah, for real. That's a steal.
That's a steal at this kind of quality and depth, and you're getting a medley. You know, you're not getting just one plant. You're getting, it seems like this whole line has been a combination of plants. It hasn't been just Espadin, except for the first one. I think the first one was just Espadin, wasn't it? I don't even have number one here.
You're going to be hard pressed to find a medley of this quality at this price point.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Order 2, order 3. If you're not sure what the big deal is with Mezcal, this is it, man. This is your box of Crayola crayons, all of these, because then you can pick and choose. You can decide what plant you really favor, where you lean towards. I love that the majority of these have been medleys or ensembles. I've always preferred the differences, the blending of the plant together. Because Espadin, in and of itself, I mean, as Matt was saying earlier, it's easy to grow. It grows everywhere. You can grow it commercially. If it's, I think it's rare now to find it out in the wild, unless you're growing it from seed. And that's why the tequila industry loves to steal it, because
you can buy it on Facebook at this point.
Yeah, probably so. Oh yeah, you actually can. I don't know if you belong to that group.
Yeah, I'm in that group. That's what I was thinking of. I'm watching people sell their piñas all the time.
There's a group in Spanish that somehow Matt and I got invited to, so we said sure. And again, if you're smart, you just lurk. You don't try to participate. And there are people buying and selling agave on Facebook in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Facebook lets it happen, because they got nobody there that's going to police it. But they buy acreage, they sell acreage. There are a lot of coyotes are using that group to buy and sell agave. So primarily in the tequila industry, but I imagine that there's. I'm not on it very often, but I imagine.
I look at it once in a while. That's how I keep tabs on where the prices are generally heading up and down. Just to see where. And they've gotten pretty low as of recently on there, which I don't know if it's a quality thing or if it's just a trend, but there was some 6-7 peso per kilo agaves, which is super low.
Yeah, but how old are they?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, what are they, 2 and 4 year olds? Well, yeah, of course they're going to sell for that cheap.
Yeah, we can diffuse those.
Yeah, sure, right? You guys have any roots? I'm selling roots. It's a strange group, but it's very enlightening to just lurk and see what they sell. Pesticides, they sell. People ask for advice on that site. So again, primarily it's the tequila industry, but in any case, that's why Espadin is so popular right now. I love it. I'm gonna go all out and say brand of promise nominee. This is a medley of Espadin and Barril. Do they give us do they have the percentages? No. Okay.
Unfortunately, no. It's okay. I mean, all of the other blends in this line have had the percentages on there, and this one does not. But if only we could scan the QR code and give us the information.
Yeah, in fact, but as we've mentioned earlier, the CRM or Comercam or whatever the hell they're calling themselves, the mezcal industry is in disarray. Nobody knows who's leading the pack, and until they get that figured out, when you snap that QR code, you're going to get a 404 error message, which is sad. I thought this was a great idea that the tequila industry should adopt. Mm-hmm. They're never gonna, because they've been able to hide distilleries with the same nom numbers and different nom numbers and just give them different names and be in the same location to get away with a lot of stuff. But anyway, that's our take on Brujo. Brujo X Factor, or Brujo 10, or Brujo X. Stick with us, folks. We've got one more we're going to do. We're going to go right back into number 2. And if you're wondering why we're waiting, we'll tell you why. But anyway, that's our take on Brujo number 10. What a price point! I want to thank the folks at Brujo for making that happen. Finally, after after so many years, Matt and I have a chance to go through the entire line, not just 2 different bottles from the UK. For those of you in the UK who are watching us on YouTube, tell us what you're doing with it, if you're buying it, where it's available, where you're drinking it. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, follow that gentleman there on the Instagram, follow us on Instagram and everywhere else where you do your social media. I'm Mike Morales here in Southern California. That guy is
Matt Metris in Rochester, New York.
You've been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. Whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.